Now, on WKRG News 5, election coverage you can count on. Brought to you by Alpha Insurance.
Hello again, and thank you for joining us. I'm Mel Showers.
And I'm Roseanne Haven. With all of the attention on the presidential race tonight, it's easy to forget other races on the ballot.
And there are a few races in Florida we're keeping a close eye on. One is the race between Republican Marco Rubio and Democrat Patrick Murphy for a U.S. Senate seat in Florida. The seat is being watched nationwide as a major player in the swing of power in the Senate.
A congressional amendment in Florida is also a hot topic, the expansion of legal medical marijuana in the state. At this time, the yes votes are far outweighing the no votes, 69% to 31%. News 5's Pat Peterson will join us later in the night to talk about this historic amendment.
Back here in Alabama, not a lot of races, but there were 14 constitutional amendments on the ballot.
Earlier, we talked about the impeachment rules and the funding of state parks. Our Emily DeVoe joins us again live from our newsroom. Emily, what are we looking at now?
Roseanne, we're really talking about amendment number 14 now. This is the last amendment on the list, the most confusing and arguably the most impactful. If it passes, you won't really notice anything different, but if it fails, there are hundreds of local laws around the state that could be tossed out in a court case. They range from annexations to law enforcement pay raises to hospital funding. And that's because when these bills were passed, lawmakers didn't follow the legislative procedure to a T, and now there's a lawsuit threatening to toss them out. And this amendment, amendment number 14, would fix that. And lawmakers around the state, frankly, are terrified that voters either skipped this amendment because it's last on the list on the back page, or they voted no simply because they don't understand it. So number 14 is one we'll be watching really closely throughout the night to see if it passes or fails. Reporting live in the newsroom, Emily DeVoe, News 5.
Thank you so much, Emily. Of course, all eyes tonight on the race for the White House.
And early results show a close race between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
To tell us what all the numbers mean, Peter Albrecht and political strategist John Gray joining us live in the Election Center. Gentlemen.
All right. Well, the poll's about to close, John, both in Alabama and in Northwest Florida. The polls closed in other parts of Florida about an hour ago, and the returns that we have early on showed very close between Trump and Clinton.
Absolutely. And in North Carolina, Pete, we were talking earlier about the Republican turnout. Some of the Republican leadership there says that the turnout in North Carolina for Republicans could be as low as it was in 1984. That's not going to bode well for Trump voters. But for Hillary Clinton voters, it could mean an uptick.
Yeah, North Carolina, that's part of the math for Trump. He's got to have it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of the swing states he's got to bring in. Florida, our next door neighbor, is one of the others. Without Florida, I just don't see how Donald Trump takes the White House. All eyes right now as the polls are closing in the Panhandle. All eyes are on the Panhandle. It is a strong bastion of Republican votes. And we can see here right now, we've got some early numbers coming in.
Some of the electoral votes here, Trump leading early. Clinton only has Vermont. And here again, some of the numbers we're seeing in Florida, about 6.5 million counted in a very tight race. Let's talk a little bit about Pennsylvania, John. This is a state that's gone Democratic about the last 5 or 6 elections, but Trump was eyeing it. But some information you have about the turnout in Philadelphia would not bode well for Trump.
Again, exit polls shows that inside Philadelphia, you're seeing a high percentage turnout of Democrat voters. That's not going to bode well for the state. It's a huge population center there with a large Democrat turnout there. It could really falter the rural areas in Pennsylvania.
All right, thanks, John. We'll toss it back now to Mel and Roseanne.
Shaping up to be an interesting evening. Keep it right here on News 5 for election coverage you can count on.